She's not choosing his money. She's not choosing his status. She's choosing something you can't buy, and most men never figure out what it is until it's too late. Today I'm going to tell you exactly what that is, and why it has almost nothing to do with age itself. Here's the uncomfortable truth most men refuse to hear. This isn't about wallets. It's about something underneath the surface, a quality that has nothing to do with wrinkles or gray hair and everything to do with how a man carries himself. And once you see it, you'll never look at attraction the same way again. You've probably noticed it too. A woman surrounded by younger men, fit, funny, ambitious, still finds herself drawn to someone twice their age. And it's not because she's shallow. It's not because she's damaged. It's because she's picked up on something most men spend their whole lives missing. Let's break it down, piece by piece. Number 1, he's not performing. Younger men are auditioning. Every text, every date, every interaction is a performance, trying to prove he's worth choosing. He's curating. He's managing an image. He's calculating what to say, how long to wait before replying, what version of himself will land best. A woman feels that. She feels the effort behind it. An effort that's trying too hard doesn't read as confidence. It reads as need. It reads as a man who hasn't yet decided who he is, so he's asking her to decide it for him. An older man isn't auditioning anymore. Somewhere along the way, usually through failure, he stopped needing an audience. He's already decided who he is. He's not asking for her approval. He's simply present. And presence, real presence, is rare enough that when a woman finds it, she notices immediately. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. Think about the last time you were around someone who wasn't trying to impress you. No jokes designed to land. No stories designed to showcase something. Just a person, comfortable in the silence between sentences. That discomfort you might have felt at first, that's actually rarity. Most of us are so used to being performed that stillness feels almost foreign. Number 2, he doesn't panic. When life gets messy, when she's tired, distracted, distant, a younger man tends to spiral. He wonders what he did wrong. He checks his phone. He starts managing her mood because his own peace depends on her reaction. Her bad day becomes his crisis. Her silence becomes his spiral. This isn't a character flaw so much as inexperience. He hasn't yet learned that other people's emotional weather isn't something he's responsible for fixing. So when the clouds roll in, he either runs for cover or tries to control the storm, neither of which actually helps. An older man has been through enough to know that other people's moods aren't a referendum on his worth. He's had relationships end. He's had bad weeks turn into bad months. He's learned, slowly and painfully, that he can survive discomfort without needing to eliminate it immediately. So he can hold steady when things aren't perfect. That steadiness is not coldness, it's the opposite. It gives her room to be human without fear of setting him off. She doesn't have to manage his emotions on top of her own. She can have an off day without triggering a crisis in him. That's not indifference. That's the deepest form of generosity a partner can offer, the freedom to not be okay sometimes. Number 3, he listens like it costs him nothing. Younger men often listen to respond, waiting for their turn to talk, already planning what to say next, already thinking about how the conversation reflects on them. It's not always intentional. It's just how a nervous system wired for self-proof tends to operate. An older man has learned, usually the hard way, that most people don't want advice. They want to be heard. So he listens without rushing to fix anything. And in doing that, he makes her feel like the only person in the room. He's not performing attentiveness. He's not nodding while mentally drafting his next sentence. He's actually there. That's not a trick. It's a skill built from years of conversations that taught him silence isn't empty, it's generous. A pause doesn't need to be filled. A story doesn't need a solution. Sometimes the most powerful thing a man can offer is simply not interrupting. Women notice this faster than men think. It shows up in small ways. Did he remember the detail from 3 conversations ago? Did he ask a follow-up question instead of pivoting back to himself? These aren't grand gestures. They're quiet signals of a man who's actually paying attention instead of just waiting his turn. Number 4, he's not afraid of her strength. A lot of younger men, even the confident ones, quietly feel threatened by an ambitious, capable woman. They compete without meaning to. They compare salaries, achievements, social standing. They keep score, even subconsciously, and that scorekeeping poisons the relationship slowly, one small resentment at a time. An older man usually isn't measuring himself against her success. He's already built his own sense of who he is, separate from hers. His identity doesn't hinge on being the more accomplished one in the room. So instead of competing, he supports. Instead of needing her to be smaller, so he can feel bigger, he wants to watch her grow. That kind of security is rare, and women can tell the difference within minutes of a conversation. Does he ask about her work with genuine curiosity, or does he quickly redirect to his own? Does he celebrate her wins, or does he find subtle ways to diminish them? A man who has made peace with his own worth doesn't need to shrink anyone else's. Number 5. He moves at his own pace, not out of fear. This is the one people misunderstand the most. It's not that older men are slower or wiser just because of age. It's that a man who has lived through enough disappointment learns that rushing rarely gets you anything real. He stopped chasing outcomes and started paying attention to the moment he's actually in. A younger man, still hungry to prove something, often moves fast because he's afraid of losing the moment. He wants certainty immediately, the label, the commitment, the reassurance, because uncertainty feels unbearable. So he pushes, sometimes without realizing he's pushing. An older man moves deliberately because he's not afraid of losing anything. He trusts that what's meant to unfold will. He's watched things fall apart before and survived it. That survival becomes a kind of quiet confidence. He doesn't need to force an outcome because he's no longer terrified of the alternative. Number 6. He knows the difference between attention and affection. A younger man often confuses the two. He thinks constant texting, constant checking in, constant availability equals love. But that kind of attention can tip quickly into something closer to surveillance. A need to know where she is, what she's doing, who she's with, not because he cares, but because he's anxious. An older man has usually learned that affection isn't measured in frequency. It's measured in quality. A single thoughtful gesture, a remembered detail, a moment of real presence. These carry more weight than 100 check-in texts. He's learned that giving someone space isn't the absence of love. Sometimes it's the clearest expression of it. Number 7. He's comfortable being wrong. Ego is expensive, and younger men are often still paying it off. Admitting a mistake can feel, to a less secure man, like losing status, like handing over a piece of his identity. So he defends, deflects, or minimizes instead of simply saying, "You're right, I got that wrong." An older man has usually had his ego dented enough times to stop treating it as sacred. He can say, "I was wrong," without it costing him anything, because his sense of self isn't built on being right. That kind of humility isn't weakness. It's one of the clearest signs of strength a woman can witness, because it tells her conflict with him won't turn into a battle for control. Number 8. He has somewhere to be, even when he's standing still. This might be the most overlooked quality of all. Older men, more often than not, have built a life with direction, not necessarily wealth or status, but purpose, something that gives their days shape. A woman can feel the difference between a man who is drifting and a man who is grounded, even if neither of them says a word about it. A man without direction, however charming, often leans on a relationship to give his life meaning. A man with direction brings a relationship into a life that already has meaning, and that changes everything about how the relationship feels. She's not filling a void. She's being invited into something that was already whole. So here's the real question. Are you dating a woman who seems drawn to older men? Have you wondered whether it was really about money or something else entirely? The truth is, women aren't chasing age. They're chasing the qualities age tends to build: presence, steadiness, security, patience, humility, direction. Which means the age gap isn't actually the point. The traits are the point. And traits can be built at any age, by any man willing to do the internal work instead of waiting for the years to do it for him. You don't need gray hair to stop performing. You don't need decades to stop panicking over someone else's mood. You don't need life experience to simply listen without an agenda, or to stop keeping score, or to admit when you're wrong. You need intention. You need practice. You need to choose, again and again, presence over performance, until it's just who you are. Because here's what nobody tells you. The men who eventually become that older man women describe so fondly didn't wake up one day and have it handed to them. They built it, piece by piece, choice by choice, usually through years they'd rather not repeat. which means the shortcut isn't waiting for time to pass. The shortcut is choosing, right now, to practice the traits time would have eventually taught you anyway. That's the real secret. Not the age, the choice. If this hit home, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Do you think it's really about age, or is it about something men can build starting today? I read every comment, and I reply to as many as I can. Until next time, stay grounded, stay patient, and never stop becoming the man worth choosing.